Hitting record. All right,
We'll just come in hot.
Going live in 3, 2.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Or do we call them netties? Because they're people on the Internet.
Netizens.
Tom, that is offensive.
Well, okay, right before the show, we started talking about the fact that the Cylons are called toasters. And Sarah asked what I think sounds like a pretty easy question. Is that okay to call them toasters? And then we started going down a rabbit hole of like, okay, but when is it okay to classify a whole group of people as,
because there are certain terms where it's like universally like if you use that term, it's not okay and you know it. But there are other terms where it's like if somebody called me a Yankee, I'd be like, whatever.
Well,
but other people might be offended by that.
Right.
Well, especially if you're from the South, you're not definitely wouldn't like.
Well, sure, yeah, but it's like, but that is a term that is used, to kind of like classify Americans, right?
Yeah.
And I just like, I just, there are lots of terms that, I'm like,
this
okay,
is the thing.
whatever.
I mean, you have the word, but you also have the intent of the person saying it.
It's all about the context.
That's right.
And it's not even necessarily about the intent of the person saying it, but the assumed intent of the use of the word. Right. If I'm ignorant and I call someone something, I might not have an intent to offend them, but I might offend them because most people who use that word do offend them.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting. For example, like shorthand slang for Americans in Australia and Britain is seppo, because that's the whole Cockney rhyming slang.
It is.
So,
I've never heard that before.
So no, because yank, you can rhyme with septic tank, and so you shorthand it to seppo, SEPPO.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow,
so,
that's new. This is new.
depending on the intent, it can either be kind of a jovial, like, "Hey, we're just giving you a lighthearted."
But it's kind of like underlying, like we're calling you a septic tank.
Well, there is an element.
It was used by Australian soldiers during World War II. I don't think it's very current anymore. Just so we know.
When I was in Australia, they used it not a lot, but I heard it more than once. It wasn't infrequent.
Are you sure that's not because you introduced yourself as Seppo Chang?
No, actually,
maybe they
I didn't
were
say
just
much.
Saying hello.
It's very interesting to see what people make as. This is the thing. I don't open my mouth, and it's very curious to see the assumptions people make about me. When I was in Australia, a lot of people just assumed I was an Asian, a tourist either from Japan or Asia, and so they do all these things that seem kind of odd to me until I open my mouth, and then you see the look in their eye, and then they like, what? Well, they take a different track. So it's all context, but it's also depending on the person you're dealing with.
Well,
Patrick, how do you in Finland? Is it a nationalistic society? Like, are there things like this that you can?
Finland is pretty homogenous population-wise.
Yeah.
Some might even say that they actively discourage immigration from certain places where people look a little bit differently. I'm sure there are some things, the people in the north are very different from, where it's very cold in Lapland are different from here. And I'm sure they have special names for them. The image of Finns, though, in the Nordic countries is that they are the weird people who live in the forest. And I think one of the saying goes, they live in the forest and they wipe their asses with bears. That's how people view.
As someone who lives in the forest, Patrick, can you confirm or deny?
Yes. How many bears have helped you?
Are bears frequent enough to use them when the situation demands it?
Yeah.
Certainly
not in the South.
Hey, bear, come here. I'm in a jam.
Not in the South. Maybe in the North, and also not being
picking on the North.
Yeah, exactly. Not being a Finn myself, I might, not. I do live near a couple of pretty remote villages where people do have an air of You know what? I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop talking because
it's
this
really
might get me in
difficult
trouble.
topic to
and I'm like, I'm so curious.
for an example, and then you're like, but I'm not going to say the example because that one is offensive.
No,
Like,
I mean it's a lot of farmers in the areas I live in, and they're pretty handy with all sorts of animals.
Here's one. This is offensive.
Let's okay. Sorry. Let me add one thing.
Okay.
There are wolves were reintroduced recently, not too far
Patrick,
from where
we meet this wolf.
Yes, exactly.
Have I met you before?
So the story ends in a way that would make it sad if I actually knew the wolves personally. There were reports of wolves not too far near villages, and some people said, well, we should inform the police and the authorities, and then it was never spoken of again. Which the suspicion is maybe some of those farmers that are handy with, because of course they're protected
to go away.
Right? Yes, they might have performed illegal bribery with the wolves to force them to leave. That's the prevailing
controversial to think.
Yeah.
About.
If I give you $100, just get out of this village.
I know you met Patrick the other day, but scram wolf.
You big old wolf.
It would be euros, but yes, that
right,
is
right,
yes,
of course.
Of course.
So there's no like the Swedes call the Finns like Phoenix or
Phoenix.
There's probably something, right?
There's a lot of
I'm sure.
I understand.
Yeah.
If you want to go really offensive, the Finns are viewed as the rough
bumpkins.
guys in the forest, and the Swedes are basically, F it. I'm in an American show, but I'm still gonna say it. They are seen as the gay people of the Nordic countries, because they're also.
What does that even mean?
Because they are they're kind of metrosexual. They're
soft,
very,
I think,
very
probably.
soft. Yes.
No,
Yeah.
It's interesting, even though offensive. It's an interesting way to put it because it gives you the idea of the mindset behind someone who
exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, it's the same way that people say, oh, the Finns wipe their asses with theirs.
Right.
You know, it's not like they actually think all Swedes are gay. It's just like
Well, it's if you look at the kind of topography and you think of the way that in the US certain people from various regions have perhaps unfair stereotypes associated with them, but everybody knows what it is. You know, it's
exactly,
kind of the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And
go ahead.
Do I what?
Do you take offense to the use of the word frog when applied to French?
Not really. I mean, it's not pleasurable, let's say, but it's fine. You know, it's like we call the English
like,
no. It's not like offensive in the way that, you know, the N-word would be, or the or maybe even some Swedes don't take the idea of being characterized as gay with, you know, it's offensive, maybe because they are, maybe because they're not, but it's not offensive. Frog is fine. It's like,
I think it's probably more
Yankees,
of like the intention of using the word is not so much that the word itself offends you. It's just like, oh, you intended to kind of like break me down a little bit.
Right.
That's the problem.
And that is not the case, I think, with frog.
And it plays a big part. The power dynamic of the group being addressed plays a big part in how offensive it is, right? The French are not seen as a group that is underprivileged or developing or in need of, you know, a leg up in this world. So using a derogatory term.
I'm not hearing anyone anymore.
Oh, did you
hear you?
You're back. I don't know what happened.
Was that a clever way to get us to stop talking about the front?
I'm sorry, I just don't hear you. I don't hear you. I can't talk to you about this.
Well, that's isn't that the whole thing about punching, not punching down,
punching up or punching down? Yeah.
Like,
when you talk about the French, most people consider it punching up or at least laterally. So it's not
So it's not,
considered as
to be honest, I'm more not offended but annoyed when people hear of me being French and immediately go like ooh la la and things like that. And I'm like, okay.
If
all right.
it's any consolation,
Where's
I've
your
never
mind?
thought that when I've heard you or seen you.
That's
So
I guess
that's
it is.
so you.
Yeah.
Ooh la la.
Not
That's
this.
the problem, right? He fits the stereotype.
No,
so
okay. So it's ooh la la or ho ho ho. It's like
You're right,
all
right. Yeah.
It's kind of like, imagine if upon hearing that you're Americans, people wouldn't just go like, "Oh, do you like hamburgers?" But they would go, "Ha ha!"
Yeah, right.
Y'all,
Right,
bang, bang, bang.
Yeah,
America.
right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally.
All right. I get it.
Totally get it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what could somebody do in that vein that would be more accurate, not necessarily not offensive, but if someone was like, "Oh, you're American," like, "Hey, dude," or so like,
yeah.
like I think I'd be like, "Okay, yeah, got it. That's how we talk." But it wouldn't offend me, but I would get that it's a sort of a funny
after,
stereotype that has traveled.
Exactly.
I think part of it is that after a few times, it just gets kind of old.
Tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I get it. This is the 15th time.
Well, it also is like, no, get to know me. I'm a person. Not
No, that's not the reason it's annoying. I'm not assuming that people are, ascribing characteristics to me. It's just that it's the same reaction for almost every American that you meet. Not it, I said almost. It's not every, but at some point it comes out. It's like, okay, yeah.
Also, where did ho 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 even come from? Was that like in a Disney movie at some point?
It must have been something.
I've never heard any French person do that.
I'm gonna guess it was an American playing a French person in a movie.
Like Lady and the Tramp or something.
Right.
It seems like something that you would have just sort of
it's like laugh like a Frenchman. Okay, I don't know how that is.
Yeah.
Made it up. Well,
origin. Oh no, that's not the thing.
Tom Merritt, your French, at least on paper, is quite good.
Oh, merci.
I have to say, you were doing a little French in Slack earlier, Patrick. I guess you're really the person who would say
said one thing that was appropriate in response in French, and then I just started quoting from my lessons.
Yeah. Well, the second thing I was like, this is somewhat
kind.
nonsensical, but I get what you're doing. Yeah. Are you keeping up with that?
Yeah, I'm trying to brush up on it again because I'm going
that's
to
great.
France in August. So
yeah. It makes a difference. It really does.
Mostly just want to be able to read and get around. I know most people that I'll deal with will speak English if I need it.
Sorry to interrupt, but apparently the hon 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 thing comes from 2005, according to Know Your Meme. It can't be 2005.
No,
that was a specific meme, I think.
No,
okay, that maybe it was that meme.
Like
okay,
1885.
Yeah, Know Your Meme doesn't go back earlier than 2005. That's the problem.
No, but it says the origin is okay. Yeah, it can't be that. Yeah.
Well, folks, let's get into some tech news. Patrick's going to give us a good rundown of the trends in video games right now, and we've got an Uber choice that may be controversial, maybe not, maybe you'll love it. I don't know. Let's start it right now. Sarah, would you like to read line 3 today?
I would love to.
Here we go. And 3, 2.
Jennifer Jones has started supporting independent tech news directly. If you would like to be like Jennifer, become a DTNS member today at patreon.com/DTNS.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, July 9th, 2019 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline's grandma's house, I'm Sarah Lane.
And from disappointingly cool Finnish countryside for summer, I'm Patrick Beja.
And from the outskirts of Universal Studios, I'm Roger Chang, the producer.
Yeah, we're not disappointingly cool out here. We're not cool at all.
No, we're just cool. Oh, we're not cool.
Well, we're cool.
So many meanings, so many
We're
layers.
just disappointing.
Well, folks, we have got a great show for you today. Patrick Beja is going to run down the trends in streaming video games and subscriptions and basically the big trends in games. Now that we've had a little time for all the E3 stuff to settle out, we've got that Uber comfort level. Is that a good thing? I don't know. Let's start with a few tech things you should know.
The Mini Cooper SE is getting a battery electric version called the BEV Mini. Production will begin at Mini's Cowley plant in the UK in November. The company estimates ranges between 148 to 167 miles, that's about 235 to 270 kilometers, based on Europe's WLTP and NEDC testing protocols.
Well, that is disappointing. Only 270 kilometers max.
Yeah.
IBM announced its acquisition of Red Hat is complete at $34 billion. It is IBM's largest deal ever. Red Hat will become a unit of IBM's hybrid cloud division. Red Hat CEO Jim Whitehurst will report to CEO Ginny Rometty.
Security researcher Jonathan Leitschuh posted about a vulnerability in the Zoom video conferencing software and also the white-labeled RingCentral version of the same software for Mac OS that could allow a malicious website to turn on your camera without permission, even if Zoom is uninstalled. A local host web server may remain behind and reinstall Zoom without user interaction. Leitschuh has a patch for the vulnerability and some instructions for disabling video by default as a mitigation factor, as well as how to shut down and remove that local host server. Leitschuh notified Zoom of the issue on March 26th, and Zoom issued a partial quick fix on June 24th.
Warner Media announced its new streaming service scheduled to arrive in spring of 2020 will be called HBO Max. Along with HBO content, the service will also exclusively have all 236 episodes of Friends, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and Pretty Little Liars. It'll also have previous seasons of Warner-produced shows for the CW, like Batwoman, starting 30 days before the premiere of the next season. It'll also have other content from Turner Networks, Crunchyroll, Rooster Teeth DC, and Looney Tunes.
All right, Patrick, let's talk a little more about some peace talks, some peace implementations, really.
Peace in our time between Amazon and YouTube. Amazon announced that the YouTube app is available on Fire TV devices, including the Fire TV Stick and Fire TV Cube, as well as Toshiba, Insignia, Element, and Westinghouse smart TVs, though not the Echo Show. YouTube Kids and YouTube TV apps will also be released later this year. It's a full-fledged app with voice controls. The Prime Video app on iOS and Android now works with Chromecast devices, and the Prime Video app for Android TV is getting a wider rollout as well.
So, Prime Video showing up on more Android TV, with some exceptions. YouTube coming back to the Fire TV. Everybody's happy. It is nice to see this happening and to see more cross-platform cooperation. That's one of the worries of having just a few competitors here, is they might fight tooth and nail to keep each other off their platform. So this is good. It's a good story.
What's the deal? What did they make a deal? Of course, we might never know.
There was a deal.
What was that deal?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it could be as simple as, okay, we'll put Prime Video on these platforms if you put YouTube on these platforms. I mean, seriously.
Maybe the Mexican standoff lasted long enough and they were like, all right, just whatever. But I
all
wonder
the
if someone
people who
paid
originally
someone.
disputed it left the company, and all the new people were like, why are we fighting again? I don't know. I'm new.
I don't have an Echo Show. Tom, I know you do. Patrick, Roger, you may as well. Is this something that you're like, the YouTube TV app would be great if I no.
I mean, it was nice when it was there, because there were more videos from YouTube that showed up. That's like, hey, here's a new cool thing, but I don't miss it.
Let's talk about the future of transportation, or at least what Uber wants you to think it is. Uber announced a new tier of service for riders called Uber Comfort. The tier requires drivers to use a car from among recent makes and certain models with a minimum amount of legroom. Drivers also have to maintain a 4.85 or higher rating. Riders who choose the levels not only get the nicer cars and higher rated drivers, but some pre-ride preferences as well that they can set in the app, something that Uber Black and SUV riders have had since May. So Uber's rolling it out to more folks. Conversation preference includes happy to chat, or no preference, or quiet please, meaning I don't want to talk to the driver. Or temperature preferences can also be set to warmer or colder depending on what the rider wants. Fares will be 20 to 40% higher than Uber X. The new option is available in multiple US cities and in Ottawa, Canada.
So these are features that were already existed, in one case for Uber Black and SUV, in the other case for the things about getting the better drivers and the better cars with more legroom. That was available to Uber Diamond level, like loyalty level people. So they're just saying, oh, let's take all of those things that already existed and package them as a level we could charge more for and see if people will pay for it.
So this is essentially Uber trying to increase their margins, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of offering features where, you know, where I'm like, I don't know, I'm a small person. I'm like, more legroom, I don't care. Put me in a smart car. I just want to get from point A to point B type thing. But that does matter to some people. Or let's say you're maybe going to be on a conference call and you actually don't want the driver to be talking to you, not because you're trying to be rude, but because that's just the way it goes. Or temperature control is something that's really important to you. Uber's like, okay, we'll put these features into something that we can charge you a little bit more for, and then you feel like you're in control of your own experience.
Well,
so how far can they? Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just going to say it also, I mean, you could do the same thing with your mouth. You can get into the car and say like, hey, I have to be on a call. Do you mind if I don't talk? Or, oh, could you turn down the air conditioning? It's a little cool in here. I have plenty of drivers who ask me how the temperature is. This is a way for people who are like, I want to avoid the awkwardness of asking. I just want to, make it efficient, have it known from the beginning what I want.
Well, it there's this whole it's like this frictionless thing that's being pushed onto us in so many forms. You know, and getting a car for Uber or Uber Eats or, you know, a variety of other things are, you know, sometimes I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That's cool. That's convenient. At least the option is up to me. And other times I'm like, I feel like they're inventing situations that don't actually exist all that often in order to upsell me.
I just had a thought. It's kind of hijacking a little bit of the email in a small way. I was thinking, what else could Uber charge you extra for in these situations? What if you could eat? They combine Uber Eats with the ride. You can order the food with the ride. It arrives, you get in, you eat while getting to the place you want to be at. And then you pay and they charge you extra.
And if you want to talk with your mouth full or not, there's a selection for that.
There's an option for that as well. Yes, of course.
Would you like a little dolly table that you could sit over your lap while you eat, or
that would work? And a little TV tray with an iPad on the back seat on the seat in front of you.
I like this. Uber, Patrick is available for consulting. Just email it.
And it would be called Uber Food and Ride. Because it'll only serve French food.
Only French food, right? Apple refreshed some MacBook Pro and MacBook Air laptops. The entry-level MacBook Pro adds a touch bar and Touch ID, along with a 1.4 gigahertz quad-core 8th gen Core Intel i5 Coffee Lake chip with a turbo frequency of 3.9 gigahertz, but still only offers two USB-C ports. So it's no longer without a touch bar, but it still only has two USB-C ports. A 128 gigabyte SSD model goes for $12.99 and 256 gigabyte model for $14.99. The MacBook Air got updated with True Display and a $100 price drop. The Air now starts at $1,099 or $999 for students. Both laptops also come with the updated third generation Butterfly keyboard while it still exists. Apple discontinued the 12-inch MacBook, though, and the non-Retina MacBook Air models. Those are just not available anymore.
Man, anybody who has a non-Retina MacBook will probably be like, it's fine. But having had Retina for as long as I have with several machines that I use regularly, going back to the non-Retina is like, I might as well be looking at something underwater.
How do you live with yourself is essentially your reaction.
How did I live? Yeah, how did I live with myself all of that time? Like we just weren't looking at something that was nice and crisp and clear. So it doesn't surprise me that's being phased out. I don't know. I'm kind of in the market for a new MacBook Pro. The touch bar is something that people have lamented. I actually use it pretty often, and maybe I've forced myself to use it because it's there more than it being really helpful
my money's
to me.
Worth out
yeah,
of this
exactly.
computer.
But it is something that I certainly don't dislike it. It's an option that I can use or not. But yeah. The MacBook Air coming down in price a little bit for folks in the market for something light and easy. I think the only the real thing that I've seen people complain about is that the new entry level MacBook Pro just has those 2 USB-C ports rather than 4. I have 4 on my MacBook Pro that I'm using right now, and this guy's on its last legs, and I use all of them constantly. Like 2 would be untenable.
Yeah, I'd say if you want to get a new MacBook Pro, wait a few months, wait until the end of the year to see if those new keyboards are going to show up. That's the rumor from last week, I believe, and that might be a significant game changer for the device.
Indeed.
Let's move on to music streaming, shall we? The Spotify Lite app came out in beta last year and is now being released officially in 36 markets on the Google Play Store in Asia, Latin America, the Middle East, and Africa. The 10 megabyte app can run on any device using Android version 4.3 or higher. It can also handle unreliable or weak connections. The app is available for free and premium Spotify account holders. It supports search and saving for songs, artists, and playlists. And it also lets users set a data limit for the app. However, there aren't plans to bring the Lite app to iOS, at least at this time.
So this is significant in that Spotify is becoming one of the many companies who is making a Lite app because they want to increase their market share in areas of the world that are increasingly using smartphones, but have data limits or unreliable connections, that sort of thing. And these Lite apps are important for getting uptake there. It's not on iOS because the people who have those concerns generally don't buy iPhones. They buy less expensive phones.
I wonder, is there? It has less functionality, I suppose. I wonder if there's a reason to
90% of the functionality of the main Spotify app.
Right.
Most of the limited functionalities around video, which isn't essential to the experience anyway.
I wonder if people wouldn't prefer to have the Lite app instead of the regular one, just because why not?
Yeah, because if it's using less data, if it's probably better on your battery life, maybe a little bit too. Yeah, for sure. But it's certainly most important for the people who are like, yeah, I don't have a lot of storage on this phone because it's the phone I could afford, and I don't have a lot of data because it's the data plan I could afford, but I still want to listen to my music.
Yeah, good on them. Let's move on to gaming. An update to Google's Stadia FAQ on July 3rd clarified that once purchased, games will be available on Stadia even if the publisher removes it from the service. So they will always be available as long as Stadia is in operation, I suppose. A Stadia account can also support up to 4 controllers for local multiplayer games, and the Stadia controller can be set up by Bluetooth Low Energy and then use Wi-Fi for gameplay, or it can be plugged in by USB for both. Google also clarified that beyond the Pixel 3 and 3a, all Chrome OS tablets will support Stadia at launch. Also, redemption codes will be sent to purchasers of a Founders Pack, Founders subscription, which can be used on any Google account. So you're not limited to the one you purchased it on.
Yeah, that's kind of nifty, the Chrome OS thing. I hadn't even thought about trying this out, to be honest. Then I realized, well, wait a minute, I have a Pixel Book. Maybe I will try this out. Who knows? Well,
did you get the Founders Pack?
No.
So you won't be able to try it out.
Not early. I'll have to wait till the hoi polloi goes in and buys the subscriptions.
Until
it's not like never. It's not like if you don't buy the Founders Pack, you can never play it.
No, the point I was going to make is that this is really a kind of beta that isn't called a beta, because once it's available for everyone, you will be able to use it on everything, supposedly. You won't even need a Chrome OS tablet.
In that respect, I will need you to send me your redemption code, since they can be used on any Google.
Yes, I will definitely, absolutely.
Yeah,
do that.
Be a pal.
No, it's a good point. I do think that redemption
that's confusing.
Like, you wanna. There'll be trafficking in these redemption codes, I bet.
Yeah, I'm guessing some people will, but I guess the people who ended up buying and keeping the Founders Pack are going to want to try it. So once you've redempted it, you it's on your account. But this is what's confusing about this whole service. Again, they're not calling it a beta, but the thing that launches in October or November is so restricted that it certainly looks like a beta, it quacks like a beta.
Mm-hmm.
And the wider release is next year. So.
Well, folks, we have more to say about streaming services, including Stadia. But if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes to keep things efficient, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. So, Patrick had an excellent article up on his Medium about 3 events that symbolize gaming trends and kind of breaking it down for us what those trends are. Patrick, take it away.
Sure. So what I tried to do in this article, and I'm going to try to summarize here, is look at the trends that we've all heard about and kind of look forward to what's going to be happening in the next quote unquote generation of consoles. Maybe not at the beginning, which is going to start next year, but down the line a few years, in a few years, maybe 2023, 24, 25. And those 3 events / trends are, of course, game subscriptions. We've talked about those a lot. Streaming services. We've talked about those a lot. And in a somewhat cheeky manner, I'm saying controllers getting to every device, which is very important, but it leads to something else. So for subscriptions, I think something that everyone will agree on is that they are really cool and everyone wants them. Not everyone, but a lot of people want to get those subscriptions to game services. Keep in mind, this is different from streaming. You can have a streaming in a you can have a subscription on a streaming service and vice versa, but not necessarily both together. A subscription can be something that allows you to install games on your local machine to play them. And they are good for consumers because they're a good deal. You get a lot of content. For publishers, they get the assurance to get your money every month instead of having to convince you to give them $60 every few months, which is a more involved act. And I would argue even for developers, it gives them more ways to generate revenue, more revenue streams. They don't only their option isn't only to sell you the game. They can provide it to some other services. So I think it benefits everyone in the industry, and so it's definitely here to stay.
Yeah, I mean, there's always an economic exception to the rule, right? Like I've figured out the way to buy games and make it work the best, and subscriptions are going to screw that up. But that's not most people. I think you point that out very well in your article. Most people have a more predictable way of buying their games, and subscriptions will probably save them some money, except if they forget to cancel the subscription, which is where it comes in to be making some money for the subscriber provider. Is they'll always have a little bit of that breakage.
Yeah, it's either forgetting to cancel or just thinking, just like you do with Netflix, well, there's enough good content that I'm not going to bother to cancel for a couple of months and then come back. And of course, this is targeted at relatively hardcore gamers. When we say everyone, it's this the subsection of the core gamer community, which is still, a lot of people.
Right.
Streaming is really interesting as well, because I think a lot of gamers, again, those people think this is not going to be interesting for me, but they think of it in terms that are what they can consider their habits right now. They're not thinking what streaming will enable for them in the future, such as something we talked about, trying out games that are in your subscription you don't want to install. If there are 20, that is a good thing. If you want to try a game from a competing service, it's easier to stream them. Another thing that is interesting with Google is the idea that they would be the white box service for all publishers to come in, and they have a streaming service that lets you install games on PC. What about all the other devices? Well, just get your subscription on Stadia, and then everyone can use it on every device. And that is, I think, a compelling offer for those publishers to be available through subscriptions on every device. And from the industry standpoint, it makes a lot of sense because it breaks the barrier of platform holders having to sell you the console for you to access the games after that.
Well, and it also makes it easier for you if the things you want to play are going to be there to say, well, that's the thing I subscribe to then, rather than I'm going to have to pick an EA thing and a Blizzard thing and a Microsoft thing, right? Like potentially, you could simplify your life a little bit.
So that I think Google is going in a different direction. It's not that Stadia is going to have its own subscription service that is going to include games from many different publishers. That might happen at some point. But I think what they're going to do, as they are already doing with Ubisoft, is say, Ubisoft, you have a subscription service. It's available on PC because, not necessarily on other platforms. If you bring it to our service, people get a free tier at 1080p streaming. And if they are subscribed to your service, they can use these games, all of the games from your subscription, on Stadia, the ones that you have ported over. But they don't have to pay Stadia. They just pay the subscription they already pay. And Google gets a cut of the money that Ubisoft gets for the subscription. And they might do that with...
the point. It's less about, I don't have to pay for multiple subscriptions, and more about, I've got one service that makes it easy to know I can play my games on all of these different devices.
And it's even more interesting for the publisher, because the publishers are not going to be able to ramp up the infrastructure to offer streaming. It's much easier. It's the only option to go with, Google in the case of Stadia, or maybe Microsoft, or someone else if they are willing to do that. But in the case of Stadia, they're already willing to do it, and they don't have a subscription themselves, at least so far. So it's easier to approach.
Yeah, kind of like Amazon Web Services for websites, except for video games.
Okay,
what's the
pretty much
about controllers?
So the controllers.
Go ahead, Patrick.
The controllers thing is, Apple is bringing the real controllers, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, to its iOS devices, including Apple TV, which means gamers can finally play games, because the controllers are incredibly important. If you don't have good controls, you can't play those games, the traditional console games, on your device. And since it's already possible on Android devices, it means every game is going to be available everywhere through streaming in good conditions, of course, if you have a decent connection. That means that a PlayStation 4 owner, if they want to try an Xbox game, they don't need to go out and buy an Xbox, because every single device in their house is already going to be able to play that game. Halo 6 is probably going to be available on the Microsoft streaming service. So you don't need to buy an Xbox, just press a button and you're playing. And in the mind of Sony, the Sony person, as a company, what do you do when that's the case? Because traditionally, you didn't need to worry about people jumping over because there was a large barrier to entry. Now that there isn't, is it worth it for them to have the Microsoft streaming service available on PlayStation? Which is, people in tech might not understand how incredibly impossible that idea is, but for gamers, it's heresy. Right. But the reasoning makes sense, because if you are Sony, your customers are going to be able to play those games anyway. So would you rather let them play them on another platform, or have them play those games on your platform and get a cut of the money they're going to be giving Microsoft? It's a strange thought, but it might happen.
I could see that happening. I really could. I think people, they tend to personalize technology companies and think of them as, people who don't like each other. And they're much more complex than that. And companies particularly are willing to do something that you might find unlikely if you're like, actually, we can make a lot of money doing that.
Exactly.
Which, and Microsoft has been moving that way. Sarah, did you have something you wanted to add in?
No, the more we talk about this model and how models are evolving, the more I'm like, it just sounds like cable TV to me. And I know that it's different, right? We're evolving, but it's sort of like, it's that kind of, it's all encompassing. You pay this thing per month and you get everything. And some people are like, that's what I want. But more and more often, especially because we're now used to kind of a la carte models, people are like, well, but I want to pay less for just like 5 of those games rather than 40 of them.
But there are a lot of similarities, but there are also key differences. You can decide which services you subscribe to. They're all a la carte. So you can get one if you want, and that's it. The other difference is you're not locked in. You can very easily cancel the service from 1 month to the next. And if I can add the last difference, you get you have the other option, which is to buy an existing game, which is $60. $60 will give you 4 to 6 months worth of that service for that game you want to buy, plus a ton of other games. So it's not exactly the same dynamic as cable.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit, completely free, a la carte. Don't even need you. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Thanks to everybody who submits stories. You make our days brighter, and you make our rundowns easier. Also, everybody in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Daily Tech News Show. Good times. All right, let's move on to Chris Christensen, the amateur traveler, who is back with a story about an airline's ad campaign telling potential passengers perhaps not to fly.
This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler with another Tech in Travel Minute. One of the most unusual airline ads you might see is a recent ad from KLM, because KLM is asking you, do you really need to fly? In an effort to promote more responsible travel, especially because of CO2 production and global warming, they have a video ad which has come out that says, we need to ask you something to fly more responsibly. Do you always need to meet face-to-face? Could you take a train instead? Could you contribute by compensating your CO2 emissions or packing light? It's an unusual campaign and a very unusual source, so kudos to KLM for giving us food for thought. I'm Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler.
In Sweden, actually, there's a new concept that's starting to become popular, which is plane shaming. People are kind of shaming themselves and possibly others for taking the plane when they don't necessarily need to, or just for taking the plane. It's a thing.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
very responsible, those Swedes.
Clever KLM Swedes, and both of you.
Well, yeah.
I know, like the cynic in me is like, what's this all about? What do you want, KLM?
Hey, we got an email here as well.
Yeah, we do. From Rich Straffolino, our very own Mr. Anthropology, who wrote in about our conversation yesterday about the idea of using car rentals for something other than driving the cars. Rich says, I think these short-term car rental companies should be looking at people wanting to use their car rentals for sitting around as an opportunity. Partner with delivery services to have somebody with lunch waiting for you when you hop in, for example. Maybe have the car already cooled down if you want to take a nap in there, or pay more to access a clean pillow and blanket. Maybe have some cars rated for productivity with better noise insulation, dedicated hotspots, or phone chargers on hand. There's a lot of value adds to be had once you've figured out that this is a desired use case.
We can call it Uber No. That means it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Uber static.
Uber ZZZ.
Nice.
ZZZ, etc. Thanks, Rich. We work with you every day, but it's so nice to get your feedback on stuff that we talk about in the show. And also thanks to Patrick Beja. Patrick, where can people keep up with all your latest?
Well, if you want an expanded conversation on the topic we covered, we just recorded last week, I believe, the latest episode of MVGB with Scott Johnson, the monthly video game briefing, which every month breaks down the most important stories in gaming and games for people who are not hardcore gamers, but still interested from afar. So there's that. And if you are a hardcore gamer, Pixels is my gaming show in English that you might be interested in. It's available in your podcast app, and it's called Pixels.
Folks, if you're worried about e-waste, we have a good show for you. I talked to a professor from Canada about e-waste, and he pointed out that when we focus on the end product, what goes in the landfill, in fact, we are not getting the whole picture on how to prevent e-waste. And the things that you think may be the problems with e-waste are not the biggest problems anymore. You got to check this out. It's in the Patreon feed right now at patreon.com/DTNS.
If you have burning questions or something you want to get off your chest, guess what? We've got an email address, and that email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're also live Monday through Friday. Join us if you can, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Good night, Rob.
Good night, Rob. It's like, depending on how you say it, he might be like, now I can't sleep. Don't do that.
We have got some good title suggestions.
What do we got? Good day.
I will look forward to reading those titles or the one you choose tomorrow.
Okay. Good night.
Thank you very much. I love all of you and wish you a wonderful...
We love you back, Patrick. We bid you adieu and a wonderful sleep. Bon nuit.
I was going to say I love all of you Yankees. And then you could have said something about frogs. It would have been lovely. Missed opportunity.
Right back at you, you frog.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Twitch.tv/goodday-internet or twitch.tv/DTNS. DTNS.showbot.tv or gooddayinternet.showbot.tv. Right now, the leading title is You Can Do the Same Thing with Your Mouth.
Oh, talking about Uber.
We also have Not Disappointingly Cool.
That's good.
Uber comfort level.
Uber comfort level. What a beta isn't a beta.
I'm voting for You Can Do the Same Thing with Your Mouth, which sounds more sort of like whoa than it actually was. That's exactly what you said, and it's true.
And done.
It was perfectly appropriate. Yeah.
Fine.
All right. For GDI, how do the Bears feel about that?
Right. Who asked the Bears? Does anyone ask the Bears before the Bears are, helping somebody wipe?
It's like, they do what? Hold on. No, we would never allow that.
Seems like something you need to ask permission from a bear for ahead of time.
Yeah.
How do the Bears feel about
Bears
that?
are going to give their permission either. I don't know. I don't want to put them in a box, but.
And also, like, what's the permission? Is the bear kind of like, like Lucky Cat style, or a wink?
Right. No, I think it has to be a talking bear.
Yeah. See, and then we're already, our sample size has diminished greatly. Has to be a talking bear.
Well, all bears talk. We don't understand.
Well, all bears talk, but they don't necessarily use the human language unless they have to.
I'm sure there's
only certain bears want to talk.
What if the bear speaks Russian and he's talking to someone who only speaks Finnish? Then what?
Well, then you need some toilet paper.
Yeah, that's the upshot of this, I think. I think we could just cut all this to the core and say, don't use bears for that.
Yeah, there are other ways. You just think about your hike before you go on it. Pack appropriately.
What if the truth of the matter is that bears use fins for that purpose, and it's just been turned around out of a feeling of insecurity?
That's what the Swedes probably say.
I know what you meant
already.
Yeah, but it made me think of shark fins.
Shark fins. Mm-hmm.
How do the Bears feel about that? That's our GDI title. Thank you, Lauren Lang.
Done and done.
And thank you, Zoe Brings Bacon, for our DTNS title. It's been a team effort today.
It really has.
Team of bears. Ooh,
bears.
So, as anybody watching the video stream knows, I'm not in my normal place. I'm at my mom's house, and I've got my dog with me. My mom has 2 cats. They don't go outside. They don't have dogs in the house. It's a whole thing. I will say, on day 2, we seem to have peace in the Middle East here. Otis is chilling outside. The cats are kind of snoozing. Nobody's hissing. Nobody's mad. Yeah, it's I'm proud of everybody. Proud of the kids.
That's good. That's good. Well, I mean, it's not like you expected there to be problems.
And if it wasn't good, it's fine. It's like the dog stays outside, the cats are safe inside. It's no big deal. But
it's nice not to have to.
Yeah, like it could have been, if you brought Sawyer over to somebody's house with cats and, they were like hissing and crying and people were upset. It's like, okay, well, you could deal with it, but it's like kind of stressful for everybody. Everybody's kind of cool here.
It's peace in the mid-Otis.
Very good.
Where are your cats? Your cats just hanging out at home or somebody watching them?
Well, it's just Lucy now. Lucy is being cared for by a lovely cat sitter that I met on Rover. And yes, I get daily updates, and she seems to be doing real well.
Striker Rich One was worried.
Really? Oh, well, thank you. No, she's good. She's the only thing was, and I'm glad that you mentioned it, Tom, that it's going to get hot, especially later in the week, because my apartment stays pretty cool even on hot days, but if it's hot enough, it's like you got to close the windows and turn the AC on, and I don't want her to be like dying in there. So luckily I've got the gal to do all of that. I was like, do you know how to work a Nest? And she was like, yeah, Sarah, I do this for a living. do you know how many Nest thermostats I've turned on and off? And
I
I'm like,
could show you how to work your Nest.
Exactly. And she probably could.
Yeah.
My
worry about we'll be having some people watching the house when we're gone, and my worry is that our Nest is not perfectly installed correctly. So that,
what does that mean?
In other words, it's fine. It's in its connection and everything, but it's fallen off the wall twice since. I mean, it's almost been a year.
Physically not.
It's just
solid.
Not quite like there's something. I don't know if there's like a wire pushing it. I really should just open it up and like make sure there's nothing. But it seems like it's fine. And when I hear it click, when I push it in, there's something not. And so I hope that doesn't happen.
I mean, technically you could just control it from an app, and it wouldn't really matter.
Not if it falls off.
Well, yeah, if it falls off and a cord is.
I mean, if they're operating it and it falls off, they'll just put it back on. That's the deal. What I'm worried about is like it just falls off and stops running.
It breaks. And then
you know what? A little masking tape goes a long way. Just tape that thing to the wall.
Maybe.
Can you ask the installation?
Listen, in a pinch anyway.
And it hasn't fallen off since last year. So I'm like, maybe it was just a weird.
Well,
yeah.
Can the installation guy come back? Or
what installation guy?
Oh, who was it just there?
Yeah, I can go back there and check out what I did wrong.
I'm just wondering.
His name is Tom Merritt.
Yeah, he can come back anytime.
You should give him a talking.
He's there right now.
Yes, I should.
Hey, you.
Trust me, I have.
Should have done this better. What's wrong?
Are you? Is the screw?
Like talk to the landlord. Thanks. Yeah, I'll do that too.
Is it screwed through drywall, or is it just on whatever?
No, it's all the way the Nest works is you've got a platform where the wires come in and connect.
Yep.
And that's affixed to the wall. And then you have the Nest device itself, which just snaps in. It's got its little proprietary attachment, and it just goes in. So everything is solid on the platform, and everything seems like it's connected, but then twice it just like popped out, and I'm like, what's going on there?
That's so weird.
The only thing I could figure is that the wires coming from the wall after I installed it just kind of
keeping it from like actually snapping into place,
pushed out a little bit against that plate and caused it to pop off, but it hasn't done it since like October.
Can you just apply some duct tape on it and just?
Yeah, that's what somebody else said in the chat room. I'm like, yeah, that's what my people do in this situation. That's true to my roots. Just put some duct tape on it; it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I keep a roll of duct tape in my car for that reason.
Or I could take it off the wall and look at the mounting plate and find out why something's pushing there. But then it didn't happen again, so I'm like, well, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's just
it's probably just a ghost in your wall.
It could be a ghost. I should probably call.
Maybe
sometimes when I can't figure out an issue, I'm like, it's the ghost.
Maybe your house isn't compatible why this doesn't make any sense. Android products.
Maybe that's it. Maybe the house was rejecting the Nest at first. It was spitting it out, and then it got comfortable with us. Like, okay, these people aren't so bad. I guess I'll take their Nest. It's fine.
They'll probably spit it out when you're not home.
Well, that's what I'm worried about. Right? That's the whole point of this conversation is when we're gone, I don't want it to just pop off the wall.
Do you want me to swing by and make sure it's still there?
No, we have somebody that's going to be staying here. I just, I mean, I know they could pick it up and put it back on. I don't know why this bothers me so much, honestly.
Because it feels incomplete. It's like a loose end that needs to be tied.
Yeah.
It's like Scott Bakula. He needs to fix that one thing in Quantum Leap before he jumps out.
Oh, maybe that's right. Right. If I don't fix this, I won't be able to jump back from my trip.
Was that a person that we had on the screensavers? I feel like it was. Yeah.
Maybe. I think like once.
I think it was.
But it was a satellite thing. It wasn't in studio.
Something like that. No, but I feel like I've talked to him on the phone, and I never would do that unless he was like one of my guests on the screensavers.
So is your next call home? Ha ha.
Ha ha.
Made for a mean captain.
I'm.
Oh, hey, you know what I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show is our ongoing solicitation for ideas for the Patreon. What do you want from patreon.com/DTNS? Let us know. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com or just in the Patreon somewhere. We've gotten really good feedback from the folks who've been able to take the time to send us stuff. So keep it coming. Y'all rock hard. I'm going to see Paul McCartney.
You do.
Speaking of rocking.
Tonight?
This weekend, Saturday evening.
I don't know why tonight would be any different than any other.
Where I'm going to see him this weekend? Yes, this Saturday.
I don't know. Maybe you did. I don't remember.
Well, no, I just
is he?
I just said I'm going to see Paul McCartney. I thought I had said this weekend, but maybe I didn't. But yeah, Saturday.
No.
Oh,
cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's my least favorite Beatle, but
even least favorite than Ringo.
Oh yeah, everybody's better than.
Who's
Paul,
your least favorite living?
Paul.
Really? Oh. Okay.
I mean, what? How would it change?
Wait, is Ringo
Who's
dead?
Your least favorite living Beatle?
No, you're
right.
right.
Ringo's not dead.
Yeah.
John and
George.
George are both.
Why do you not? You know, this is the thing. I'm not big on Paul McCartney, but I probably have different reasons. I find a lot of his music annoying, but do you have a different reason?
Yeah, that's my reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I find him annoying in general. But I also, I mean, big Beatles fan, grew up on the Beatles, parents love the Beatles, big, lots of Beatles in my household as a kid. And there were, songs that were John Lennon songs, right? Or, Paul McCartney songs, whatever. Like, there are lots of Paul McCartney songs that I like in the Beatles era. So it's not like I'm saying like he's not talented or anything. I find him to be an annoying person now.
He's kind of like that.
But maybe he'll put on a good show like Wings. Like, come on.
Wings. Wait, like the TV show Wings or just the song?
His band.
I don't
band
follow
Wings.
his career, so I know nothing about him, other than it's a wonderful.
It was a band that he which actually is not a terrible song.
They play that. They overplay.
I like it.
I hate it. You hear it in
I
Walgreens.
know. I
and
kind of
in
like it though. It is a very Walgreens type song. I don't know. It's peppy. No, Wings was the band that he was in with his late wife Linda McCartney. They were together, and
yeah, with Paul McCartney and Wings for years and years.
Yeah,
should open up a Wings place. Hot Wings.
Yeah. I feel like it was a different kind of wings that they were going for, but that would be cool.
Trademark.
Paul McCartney Wings restaurants.
Do you know how many celebrities, whether they're musicians,
actors,
or whatever, they start restaurants they have no business running? What was the one that was Planet Hollywood? Was that was Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce
It
Willis?
was, yeah. Yep.
Did that go anywhere?
Is Planet Hollywood still around or no?
I thought it folded.
No, it's. I mean, well, I don't know about the chain, but the casino hotel is still around.
Yeah, there's that.
I thought that folded.
Well, it's sort of like Hard Rock. There used to be so many Hard Rock cafes, like in every major city, and now
Which
they're
totally waters down
much
the
fewer,
entire
but they haven't gone away entirely.
Let's see, so there's 6 locations.
When I was a kid, like the Hard Rock Cafe in San Francisco was like the coolest place to go, and it was on Van Ness Avenue. It was horrible.
Was it?
But I mean, we could not think of anything cooler. Yeah. And you get a T-shirt from there, and you wear it for the next year.
I remember everyone and their brother had a Hard Rock T-shirt. And
when I was in college,
yeah.
The thing was to be the person with the Hard Rock Cafe shirt from farthest away, right? Hard Rock Chicago,
yeah.
Whatever. Hard Rock's L.A. Okay, now you're talking. That's something. Hard Rock London,
yeah.
Wow.
Hard Rock Shanghai. You're like, whoa, you are very cool.
You are a world traveler.
Yeah, it was a cachet thing.
I don't know. Even then, I was never impressed
so
with any franchised restaurant. It's probably because my parents ran a restaurant. But
did your parents run a restaurant?
Well, it's funny you should ask that.
I had no idea
Tom.
you were in the food industry when you were younger.
I was. I was up to elbow deep, pearl diving.
I heard such a thing.
That's what you call a dishwasher back in the day, or a bottle
washer. Well, it's funny because like people will get and I'm sure we all feel this way. It's like there are certain franchises that you just like. Whether or not you think they're the best food is sort of beside the point. You just like them.
Taco Bell,
and so when
yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So like when I was a kid, Hard Rock, like the connotation was the food did not matter.
No.
Just going there was like really special. And like, you're kind of like, you're a cool kid.
You were going there.
Why? I don't know.
Like atmosphere, right? And seeing all the cool things on the wall and to get the T-shirt.
Right. And it just felt,
yeah.
Yeah. And it felt very different than, the little small town that, I was in the rest of the time. But I can't think of what that would be now for me. I can't think of any franchise that I would feel like, I don't know, like, I don't hate PF Chang's, but I don't feel like super excited to go there. I just know that I'm going to like the
Steak
food.
and Shake, or what's the other one?
Yeah, take that back. Taco Bell is not what you're talking about. Taco Bell is the franchise that I'm like, oh, Taco Bell. I always like it, right? Even though I know it's not good.
Yeah, right. No, this is more like an atmospheric thing.
Like,
what's your like atmosphere restaurant?
My problem with that is chain, usually the atmosphere is a little, watered down because it's chain. So like once you've been to a Hard Rock, then every Hard Rock's the same. And it's like, well, this isn't that interesting. So for atmosphere, I prefer to go to if not non-chains, certainly local like chains, not franchise chains. I don't know that maybe I'm dead.
You know what? Here's one, and I know way oversalted, but I love it. Benihana. I am a Benihana fan.
I like
100% of the time, love it.
I find the food okay, but I like the
way oversalted.
I like the theatrics of it. Like the whole thing is ridiculous to me. It's like such an absurd concept, but
well, it's also like there are a lot of places that are like good for kids where I, as a childless woman, I'm like, ugh, it's too kid. Benihana is great for everybody. Kids love it, adults love it, and the food is fine.
I do like Shake Shack.
Shake Shack.
But now that they have multiple locations in LA, it's not, I don't get as excited. Like part of it is, I can't usually get this.
Yeah.
In-N-Out is kind of like that for people who don't have In-N-Outs by them, I think.
Yeah, I have one. I have two within a 10
we have
minute drive.
Like, okay, what's the...
When I was driving up from...
Waffle Hut.
I know.
Is it Waffle Hut? Waffle House?
Waffle House. Yeah.
What about the International House of Pancakes?
No,
you know what? They're all over the place, and they've gotten progressively bland.
Some people are just like very loyal to them. I haven't been one in a
I can see it being loyal because it's one of the few places that used to be open. I don't know if the one near me is open 24 hours, but it used to be open 24 hours. So if after
imagine getting a short stack at 4 a.m.
So this is the reason why we used to hit Denny's all the time,
right?
Is because after you got out of a bar or club or whatever at 2 a.m., you could go get a bite to eat. It's always it's always illuminating to see who rolls into a Denny's or any kind of 24-hour diner around that time, because it's of like a snapshot of the people who are still up and about.
Dunkin' Donuts is another one. 24-hour Dunkin' Donuts was a great thing when I was a kid, when I was in college. Then I came out here, they didn't have them. So when we first got them out here, I was excited. And now it's like, man, they're everywhere.
Yeah, they're okay. I like Winchell's, but there's no more Winchell's except for the one.
Yeah, but Dunkin' Donuts and Winchell's, that's like two different things to me. Winchell's is a donut shop.
Besides knowing and feeling like secure that it was 24 hours, like, were you going there 24 hours a day?
The Dunkin' Donuts.
Were you just liked the idea?
Yeah. Oh no, I went to the Dunkin' Donuts to study after midnight.
To get a donut or coffee or just hang out?
No one goes to Dunkin' Donuts for the donuts. You might get a donut while you're there. Yeah, but that's
It's the coffee. Okay.
That's why it's not a win. You can't compare Dunkin' to Winchell's, because Winchell's is a donut shop.
And Dunkin's is an experience.
Dunkin's is a coffee place, 24-hour place that also has donuts and breakfast.
It's the Dunkin' experience.
Yeah.
I don't know. The only donut place.
People will swear up and down that it's the best coffee, and it's very much not. But I'm like, okay, I don't know. I'm not going to argue with you Bostonians.
There's something about Dunkin' Donuts coffee that's different. It's
different because it's crappy.
But no, I don't think it's crappy. It's got its own characteristics that I'm like, okay, this is Dunkin'. It's a Dunkin' experience.
Maybe you just had to grow up with it to have your body.
I'm sure people are shaking their fist at me, but
they are.
I think you have to grow up with stuff like this.
That's fine.
You can't compare Dunkin' Donuts to Starbucks either, because Starbucks is a coffee shop, right? That's like, I want 700 different types of coffee to choose from. That's not what Dunkin's about either. Dunkin's very simple.
Well, the problem here's the problem I have with Dunkin' is that, and I only I've only been there once, and it was in Dunkin's Donuts in Boston. And I was there with some friends, and they were like, we got to get Dunkin', and like, finally we're back in Boston, man. And they don't let you put in the cream yourself. They ask you if you want it, and then they do it for you, which I can't handle that. I need to be in control of my own cream, because you're going to do too much or too little, and it's just like really weird. And when I brought that up, like, my friends were like, be cool, Sarah. Like, that's just, like, that's the way they do it here, where I'm like, I hate this.
Don't upset the apple cart.
Yeah. You're gonna upset him, and then it's gonna be a whole thing. Yeah.
What do you ask for ketchup on your burger at Father's
I don't
office?
know.
What's wrong with you?
Right. Yeah. Like, I was like, I want to do that myself.
Well, then Dunkin' isn't.
I don't
for
know.
you,
I'm
right?
sure there, people are like, well, but that's like the beauty of it. Okay. But you're gonna not have the right ratio of milk to coffee, and I
No, they will. You will have the wrong taste for it.
They think they
I know.
Exactly. It's me. It's my
I drink
fault.
my coffee black, so I never
again.
really run into that. But, yeah.
Right.
Oh man, yeah, but getting back to the idea of like Benihana or the Hard Rock experience in the 80s, I can't think of any that really get me that excited anymore.
Well, partially it's because you're older, and so you have a larger disposable income than you were at that age.
What about Round Table pizza?
Oh, I love Round Table.
Round Table.
My wife hates Round Table.
I love Round Table pizza. Well, because it's not great pizza, but it's atmospheric. Like, you got like arcade games in the corner. You got a jukebox. It's like,
of all the chain,
it's fun to go to Round Table.
Of all the chain pizza places, Round Table is the only one I actually liked. Like, I didn't like Pizza Hut. I didn't like Domino's. I didn't like
No. Well, and again, like, there was no like there. Like, at Round Table, you could like go there and get in a booth and hang out there for a few hours.
Ken's Pizza.
Like, it was like, I don't know. Maybe it was just me and my friends, but like, we'd love to go to Round Table and like hang out there all afternoon and eat a little bit, but mostly hang out.
Ken's Pizza was the version of Round Table in where I grew up, because it had the booths. It was the first place I played Pac-Man. You could just go out there and hang out. Like, for a stretch of the 80s, when there was a birthday party, it was at Ken's Pizza in Highland, Illinois.
There you go. Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I think it's gone. I don't think it was. I think it was a local chain anyway. It wasn't as big as Round Table, and then it's just disappeared.
The only one I know of that isn't a.
Yeah, and it was always like Round Table was always like half full. Like no one would ever kick you out and be like, "Hey, you guys have been here too long," because it was never really full anyway.
Yeah, what was that? Ken's
Like,
was the
and
same way.
people-
Like, it was always
Yeah.
busy, but it was never like a wait to sit.
It was just big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you would be like at a booth for like 10 people and it'd be like 3 kids and you're like drinking sodas and playing stupid Led Zeppelin songs on the jukebox.
There's a Ken's Pizza.
Oh,
Not that Led Zeppelin
jukeboxes.
is
That's what I
stupid.
miss
We were
about Round
stupid.
Table. They had a jukebox.
Yeah. Oh, Round Table had the best jukebox.
Because the songs were up to date. It wasn't all like Eagles hits or something like that was a decade old. They had stuff that
ours was pretty old.
No, the one I went to, they kept it within maybe 4 or 5 years of where you were at in terms of
so
songs.
it was stuff that you like as a kid. You were like, "Ooh, cool song." Yeah.
Pat Benatar.
Still a classic. Still a hit.
Love is a Battlefield.
Ken's Pizza in Chandler, Oklahoma.
Karaoke.
Ken's Pizza in Chandler, Oklahoma has
anything
the same
I loved more than Round Table now that I think about it. There's a Round Table still in Sebastopol. I'd go there right now.
Yeah, I think
I'm only
the
10
chain
minutes away.
itself, is that still around? Round Table Pizza. Where are they
Yeah.
located?
There was one in Oakland right around the corner from us. We never went there. Also, I think they still advertise on the A's broadcasts. They're mostly Northern California, though, aren't they?
Round
They're
Table?
headquartered in Atlanta. What?
Yeah.
Round Table?
Yeah.
Sorry to scream. What?
Hold on
Oh.
a second.
I can't even. I need to like recalibrate my life.
There's one in Burbank.
Round Table is headquartered in Atlanta?
Seriously.
That's like when I found out Bank of America was headquartered in Atlanta. I didn't know what to do with myself.
I know, but it was founded in San Francisco.
My banking continued.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, exactly. I always thought I was like picking a local big branch, right?
The local bank.
The local Bank of America. I got
Just
screwed
the mom
with
and
their
pop
Alpha account.
bank.
No.
So Round Table was founded in Menlo Park.
Yeah, okay.
And
I knew that.
It's a Western chain.
Yeah.
And its headquarters is in Atlanta.
That was
5555
it was-
Glen Ridge Connector, Suite 850.
Man, I love a good Round Table. What fun.
They have
And it's
it-
always it's murky in there, like it's kind of dark any time
love
of day.
that. I
Like
love
could
it.
be
It's-
sunny
it's-
and beautiful. Yeah.
you go in there to hide.
Oh, great.
It's
You
awesome.
do. That's exactly right. You're hiding from the world. You're gonna play something stupid on the jukebox, have some pizza, maybe play a little pinball.
There's a smell about it that smells like the soda and the pizza that never leaves the place. Like it's always there. Like it just smells like pizza dough and soda.
Right.
There is now a
Carpet's
new
dark.
there's a new format called the Round Table Pizza Clubhouse, featuring expanded
What?
entertainment with arcade games
I'm
for
looking
children,
this
big
up.
screen TVs, and an expanded menu with craft beer selections.
Craft beer. Interesting. They have locations in
Oh.
Alaska, Arizona, California, Hawaii, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington.
They were Round Table was
I
acquired.
don't remember because
Contra Costa.
Round Table was acquired by the
I don't-
Global Franchise Group in September 2017. And Global
Oh,
Franchise Group
recently.
is headquartered in Atlanta. They also
Uh-huh.
own Great American Cookies, Hot Dog on a Stick, Maggie Moo's,
Is that
Marble
cookies?
Slab Creamery, Pretzel Maker.
Mm.
No, they don't have the Gwyneth. So this is the thing when what's it what is it called? The Round Table was founded. They had their whole theme was Camelot. So you had
Well,
different
it's
pieces.
kind of right there in the name, right?
Yeah. So I'm trying to see if they still have.
The pizza's round, but
King
we have a
Arthur
theme.
Money- Oh, okay, they still have it. The
Yeah.
Guinevere's Garden Delight. That was all vegetarian. Where's their the chicken and garlic gourmet? Oh, I love that. So good. Makes me hungry. I should have eaten lunch. I did eat lunch, but I should have
always
eaten a larger lunch. Is what I've.
No,
what I should
you're
be
fine.
saying. Wait. So I shouldn't have eaten more food.
I
Yes, you're good.
don't remember. I think because it was such a thing that we did when we were younger. Like I don't remember people drinking beer at Round Table. I'm sure there
Oh.
was. some beer on
No.
tap, but like it wasn't
That's
a thing that we did. It
Ken's
was
Pizza
very much
had
like
pitchers.
a junior high kind of a
Every birthday
situation.
party at Ken's Pizza, the adults would get a pitcher of beer and the kids would get a pitcher of Coke.
Well, this is the thing.
And that was probably happening. I just didn't notice.
Round Tables was the first place I went to where they served soda in a pitcher. Like typically it would just be individual.
Oh
cups,
yeah,
and that's
soda
what
in a
makes it go.
pitcher for sure.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is awesome.
No,
I
that
can
was like
afford-
part of the fun.
Get a pitcher of root
Well, because
beer.
I didn't like there was no soda in my house, so like a pitcher of Coke was like a huge deal to me. Like, oh my gosh, there's so much of this.
There's also fountain
and we could just
soda,
like
too,
keep
right?
refreshing it. Yeah,
So good.
yeah. Well,
Oh,
I don't know if there was at Round Table.
well, the
don't
pitcher
remember
usually was
fountain
filled
soda.
out of a fountain. That's how they were able. They didn't just open a bunch of cans, did they?
Yeah, but it wasn't like you could go up and refill something.
No,
like
no,
you'd
no,
have
no,
to be
but it-
like, could we get
But I'm
another
just saying
pitcher?
it tasted better because it was from a fountain.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember that about the pitcher.
Mhm.
When they started introducing self
Yeah,
refills
there's more air in it or something.
for soda, that was like, this is amazing. I can drink as much as I want.
Well,
Maybe.
folks, I'm starting to get
Yeah,
indigestion
I
just
mean-
thinking about it.
I'm going to Round Table, so I gotta get out of here.
I'm
gonna
I'll
take
meet you at
this.
the round table at Burbank, Roger. Get ourselves a pitcher of Coke.
The next meetup we have should be at a round
At a
table
round
in
table?
Los
Yeah.
Angeles.
All right,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
let's do it. There's one in Tarzana and one in
Can't wait.
Burbank.
Oh,
Well,
yay.
thanks everybody for
All right.
listening. Thanks for supporting us. Please have a lovely, lovely, in fact, I'll just say it. Have a good day.
Have a good
Good day, Internet.
All right.